Hello, my 11-week 102ers. Are we having fun yet? Please forgive me if this video is a little bit more lower energy or a little choppy. I love my children very much, but every time somebody in their school is sick, they bring it home to me, and I get sick, and I hate being sick. Anyway, when we're talking about class, we're over a third of the way through the semester, and spring break is right around the corner. You know, your next due date marks the end of the first half of the class, basically. Sorry. For those of you who are actually watching these videos, I'm glad. Please drop me an email and let me know if you're getting anything out of them. If they're interesting, if they suck, I want to know so I can craft a bit better to your needs. I figure a straight informational video would just be torture, am I right? So, here we are in week 4, and we're well on our way to solidifying our topic to our ideas, right? So scroll down here to the 102 Masterclass schedule by scrolling, looking down on the right-hand side, view the course schedule, and then clicking on this link right here. It brings this up, and you should be able to find week 4 right above the big red line that says spring break. So, not too bad, right? We've only got 2 documents to look through and 1 homework assignment. It's pretty straightforward. So let's jump right into it. Reading our sources. Well, you know, when I was growing up, they taught us that there was indeed a 3-step process to reading your sources. And this is basically a rehash of something I've taught since the beginning. And I remember when they taught it to me, it was known as pre-reading, reading, and post-reading rather than preview, read and annotate, and reread. Regardless of how you say it, it's literally the exact same thing. First, you want to skim over your ideas. You want to make sure that you see anything jumping out at you, like the topic. You know, you ask questions about headings and subheadings. You look at the title. You look at anything that doesn't look like normal text, italicized, bold, underlined, bigger, smaller, different colors. You look at numbers, pictures, graphs, all of that stuff. So that really does help you. Read the title, the author blurb that sometimes appears at the beginning of the article. Usually it's in smaller italics that everyone ignores. And then everything else. By doing this, you'll have somewhat of an idea about what's coming when you actually read the paper. When you do read the paper, you will slow down and really read it. That's this one here. Don't run your eyes over it and think about other things. Seriously. If you're not soaking it in, you're not really reading. If you have to ask yourself, what in God's name did I just read at the end of a page because you were thinking of what's your dinner menu, or how to get tickets to WrestleMania for your boyfriend or girlfriend, you might have been moving your eyes over the page, but you certainly weren't working your brain. This is the time where you need to do both. So this is when you pay attention. Annotate or take notes. So if you need to print it out and highlight or underline or write on it, go for it. If you can't, go to the dollar store and buy a cheap spiral-bound notebook. Open it up to a blank page and just write your notes there as you are reading on the screen. Either way works. So, ask questions. Highlight. Ask questions. Look things up that confuse you. Ask questions and, what was that other thing? Ask questions! The more questions you can ask, the more you will look up. The more you look up, the better you will understand things. Lastly, you will go back over, that's down here, reread. You will go back over those questions and answer the ones that you haven't already answered. You will try and make sense of the things that you haven't quite grasped yet. There are 3 stages regardless of how they are worded, and they help out quite a bit. So down here you can see some more directed questions to ask, some directions for stage 3, which is right up here. But I think we pretty much covered it, right? So once you get through there, I think you're in really good shape. Okay, enough self-aggrandizing. Let's just continue. For planning your informational research essay, which I still think should be called the Comparing Perspectives essay, there are 5 boxes that you can click through and read the material that's in there, okay? It's very important to go through them to make sure that you're understanding what you need to understand. Remember that your topic needs to be assertive, so you need to know the angle that you want to go in. So let's find your angle. The direction. which side of the argument you're taking. That's the key, okay? Down here, under selecting relevant background information, for some reason, I think a few of my colleagues don't necessarily put a lot of source material into this one. But no, I disagree completely. Background information is so very important because the goal of a good writer is not to make your audience feel stupid. If you just assume that they know everything that you're talking about, that's making them feel stupid because they may not understand. Give them all of the information that they need in this background section. Then choose your evidence to discuss. Find the correct source material. Go through it, run it through the crap test, figure out if they're the ones that you really want. Generate ideas for your tie-ins. Absolutely. Try to figure out how each source that you use, each quote, each paraphrase, reflects favorably upon your thesis statement. Okay? And then finally, synthesize. What new ideas do you have? What concepts are you thinking of? Remember that? Remember we talked about the Lego stuff? So once you remind yourself of all of these things, you'll want to ask one very important question. Oh my God, no. It's not Who Let the Dogs Out. You are all far too young to remember this damn song, but it was everywhere in the early 2000s. I mean, good Lord on high. You literally could not escape it no matter how hard you tried. It was on TV shows. It was on the radio. Yes, we had a radio. It was on commercials. It was in the movies. It was in everything you could find. And the Baha Men didn't do anything else for the rest of their lives. Good Lord. No, in all of these parts, the main question that I want you to ask yourself is, if I were ignorant of this topic to begin with, what information would I need to understand this thesis statement? If you can help your reader get a little experience with your topic, you can guide them to the idea that you feel is important. Make sure to give them that idea because you can show them that the evidence will make the most sense and relevance to your angle. And honestly, your world building. You want your reader to forget about their daily lives and live and breathe what you've provided for them. I know that's kind of creepy and narcissistic, but think about the best books you've ever read. It's almost a letdown when you finish them, isn't it? Finally, we have our only assignment for the week. Right over here. It's a planning document again. It's to get you interacting with your two sources for this unit. You need to clearly illustrate the links between the two and how to deal with your topic. So once you click on here, you'll see this page here. Lovely. It tells you exactly what kind of sources to find. Should be 2 to 4 pages. Authors should be clearly stated. Should not be less than a page. Should not be older than 5 years, and so forth. Make sure that they are informative and not informative and not neutral. So starting out, you're going to click on this link here, which will bring up this document here. It's kind of lovely, isn't it? I actually had the original that the department gave me, but it was awful. So I've reformatted it and made it look a lot better. Okay? But regardless, it's still the same basic thing. It's just a little bit easier to work with. So I've given you examples of what I want to see in each section. This first section, I literally want you to designate 2 sources. Put the title and the URL here and here, the authors here, and then the year of publication here and here. But Mr. Christopher, you said I couldn't do more than 5 years. You're right, I did. But these are samples. So stop. Anyway, down here, we have our research questions that we worked on, the synthesis questions, right? So we found the 2 articles, and now we're going to start looking and seeing which questions both articles deal with. It just so happens In Defense of Binge Watching and Problems Caused by Binge Watching Could Go Even Deeper Than Previously Thought both feature these 3 ideas. The definition of what binge watching is. So you ask the question, what is binge watching? And then you explain what Cohen thinks and explain here what Dodgson thinks. What is the author's opinion of binge watching? Well, obviously one's going to be I like it, one's going to be I don't like it. And here's your answer over here. And then third, why do people binge watch? Okay, what are the reasons that are listed out? And again, they found these in both sources. If you create a question that is only answered in one source, you cannot use that question. You must use a question that can be answered in both sources, okay? So if you can create a question that is only used in one source or the other, it's a bad question. Get a new one. So once you're ready, you're going to put your source material right here, again, just like I did in this. So title, author, year, URL. I'm going to put title, author, year, URL, title, author, year, URL. And then list out your questions. There's spots here for 4, but I only expect you to do 3. If you want to do 4, God bless you, go for it. So you put the questions here, and then here you will answer the questions that both sources give you the answer to. Make sure to use in-text citations so you remind yourself where these things were in the source. This assignment is not all that long, but it's a little complex because this is going to start to get you think of these two sources, these two sides of your argument, and sort of how they're not as far apart as you really thought, but actually are definitely disagreeing and arguing a main point. So once you fill that in down here, you are good to go. And after that's due, you'll have 2 weeks until your next due date. So isn't that lovely? As always, whatever I can do to help you, please reach out early. Once this is submitted, you can binge watch until your butt hurts. But until this is submitted, get on it. Have a great week. Have a great spring break. And we'll see you on the other side.